Golding with 163 metres, Jerry McGilvery with 133 metres and 2 clean breaks, Jake Wardle in what was a quiet game for him, but he still put up 128 metres and 2 clean breaks, and Darnell McIntosh with a try assist and 108 metres for him.
Yep, so 2 fan views on this one. So Bruiser says, this is more trivia than anything. Salford are currently 1 place lower than if Toronto's results were included in the table.
I mean, that leads me to suspect that Sean spent more time looking at his spreadsheets than he did watching this game, because it feels like a interesting quirk that I've seen in my spreadsheets this week.
It was a good game, this one, and all.
And Carsten said, Huddersfield just can't win close games. The yellow for Sarge was completely fine, and he needs to get his discipline sorted out. Well, according to the disciplinary, it's not that big a deal. Dan Sargentson got a grade A dangerous contact charge, which results in no match penalty notice because his previous charge was not for dangerous contact. It was for a high tackle or whatever, so or a striking charge or whatever it was. So no ban in the week before the Challenge Cup final, which is a relief for Dan Sargentson, with a tackle that to me looked remarkably similar to the one that Morgan Smithy's got 4 games for. So timing, as much as anything, helped Dan Sargentson, I think. I think this is why fans get frustrated with the system. How can one be a grade D 4-match situation and one that, okay, didn't look exactly the same, but looked very similar in that it was the same wrongness to the tackle technique, but I think there was slightly a bit more adjusting from Sargentson as the player came down. I'll be fair, but one's no games and one's 4 games. One's a grade A and one's a grade D. Like, are we trying to get rid of these tackles from the game or not? Feels like we're not.
We all know the rules are different.
The player.
Yeah, the rules are different around big games. We all know that. That's just a fact.
Why not let him play in the cup final but ban him for 4 Super League games? No, well, 4 would be excessive. I don't think it was as bad, like I say, but it was very much the same tackle technique that was wrong.
I thought it was just a consequence of too much wrestle going on in the tackle. Yeah. So I had him down as being unlucky to get the card when I kind of watched it for first time around. So I don't have a problem with it being a grade A. The question obviously is about Smithy's kind of grading, but anyway.
I think a yellow card during the game was the right thing from the referee anyway, so I think that's fair. There was another yellow card as well, wasn't there, in the game for Kenny Edwards, but that was kind of a bit harsh on Edwards. That it was for Huddersfield just couldn't help themselves from giving away set restarts.
No, he was made an example of because of team indiscretions. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, although he probably needed a spell off after he took that knock that looked like his shoulder had basically been dislocated. He seemed fine and played on. And then very quickly afterwards was the third in a quick succession. I think wherever a team gives away 3 successive offences in their own half without touching the ball should be an automatic sin bin. So I kind of think fair game there from the match officials on that one.
Yeah, I had no problem with it, really. And it just spoke about the fact that Salford were on top at that point. Because actually, the first half for me was very, very, very even, whereas passes that were kind of going on the floor for Salford had stuck for Huddersfield, which is why they were ahead. And actually, in the second half, it just felt that Salford ground their way back into it. And admittedly, with some kind of really great finishing, which I think we need to talk about Kristen Inu a little bit. They just seemed to be a bit more clinical in the second half, where they weren't in the first half, and I think for me that was the primary difference between the sides in the end.
Yeah, and I think seeing through that Sargentson Simbin period, maybe in a way was the most important spell of the match, because that was kind of where you saw that shift with Huddersfield stopping executing at that stage. Huddersfield stopped and Salford kind of took a bit of control and were a bit more sensible with the way they played. They really managed that period well from a clock management point of view. They actually won that period 2-0, and then when Kenny Edwards was sin-binned, Salford struck straight away. They scored on the next play. So, the difference there in terms of where the teams are at with execution maybe. But yeah, Christian Inu got 3 Man of Steel points and 3 Albert Goldthorpe points. I feel like we're close to the end of seeing the Man of Steel points revealed now, as it goes dark for the suspense-ridden final stages. Ryan Landon got 2 points in the Man of Steel. Aidan Caesar 1. Ash Golding got 2 points for the Albert Goldthorpes, and Aidan Caesar 1. So 2 Huddersfield players scoring there. But Inu was the outstanding player, wasn't he, Al?
Yes. When I kind of saw it, I can't remember how many players have kind of run over Jerry like Inu did to get his. I think it was his second try, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I can't recall him ever being kind of barged out of the way like that. And Inu's not reputationally that kind of player, but yeah, he was a bit of a man possessed in this one for me. He was, I think the Man of Steel and the Albert Goldthorpe have shown it. He was by some distance the best player on the pitch for me, just in terms of the quality of his play, and his finishing was just out of this world, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think reputationally he was that sort of player, but his reputation had somewhat stymied after that very brief spell in Union, and then a kind of underwhelming period at Widnes, where he sort of, even last year at Salford as well, seemed disinterested. I don't know, but what I can't remember, as well as someone overpowering Jerry like that, was a winger having this much influence on his side's games. It feels rare, but the team feel like they're going as Inu goes. When he's showing power with his finishes, it raises the power stakes for the rest of the team, and his goal kicking has been really good as well. So it's kind of helped maintain any momentum they develop in games. His goal kicking has added to that. I agree. He's taken totally a step up. And what's he now, like 32, 33? He's surely towards the back end of his career, and he's actually looking the best he's looked since maybe his initial explosion with the Catalans when he first came into our game after, again, having a bit of a lull at the end of his NRL career.
Yeah, I would say this is his kind of, individually, probably his best complete game that I've ever seen him while he's been over here. But yeah, outstanding for me.
It feels like his last 3 or 4 games he's had this kind of influence as well, though, doesn't it? His finishing's been powerful and impressive. His goal kicking's been crucial, and he's put up big stats as well consistently week after week recently. He's really wanting to get a good deal for his last, what you expect will be his last deal, maybe.
Yes, maybe it is a contract here, but I didn't think Huddersfield were bad in this one.
No,
not generally. I think I'm glad Golding got points in Albert Goldthorpe because I thought he was pretty good, kind of quite elusive. But yeah, I think it was just a matter of missed chances for me that seems to be hamstringing him quite a lot.
And the chances he did...
It's meaning the losing games that they shouldn't lose.
Yeah, the chances he did take. I mean, people will talk about that Caesar's second try where there was the kick and McIntosh took the kick and then found Caesar with the return pass, as quite a good try. I really liked the Cudjoe try that got things going. I thought it was really nice work down the short slide from the halves after the slip from Caesar. He managed to recover and put on a really good play with Gaskell. That the spinning finish from the experienced centre put the icing on the cake off. But I would say that Atkins' intercept was a real momentum changer, wasn't it? Maybe we spoke about this before, but there isn't many players in Super League whose legs seem to be going so fast when he seems to be going so averagely speedy. But he had enough to get to the line and score the try, did Chris Atkin, and that seemed to be the change in, like you were talking about, a failure to execute versus an ability to execute. That almost was the flick of the switch the other way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and as you say, it was much closer at half time than kind of pressure had suggested it should be. But yeah, Salford will be pleased to come out of this one, particularly as they're wanting to have a run into the final.
Yeah, and this is looks like the side that they will want to put out there, other than Atkin and Brown would probably swap out, and maybe they might have a slight look at the bench with McCarthy or Flanagan or someone for Ormondroyd, but they're trying to rotate those players through, but whilst maintaining momentum, and you've got to give credit to Ian Watson that is doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, second game time.
Yes, second game on Thursday. It was in the hastily rearranged cup. It finished Leeds 40, Hull FC 22. Leeds also ahead at the break 16-10. Ben Thaler was in charge for this one. Hull FC actually made an extra break and had a better tackle success, although were error-strewn in having 15 errors. Leeds managed more possession and actually made 350 more metres. For Leeds, Matt Pryor with a try assist, 41 tackles, 10 marker tackles, and he also made 100 metres. Ash Hanley with 3 tries, 1 try assist, 202 metres. That magic 200 metres we get occasionally. Jack Walker, very good in this one. 2 tries, a try assist, 5 tackle busts, 154 metres. And Conrad Terrell with 130 metres. For Hull FC, Carlos Tumavave with 7 tackle busts, 170 metres and 3 clean breaks. Cameron Scott with 151 metres, 2 clean breaks. Brad Fash with 52 tackles, 14 of which were for marker. And Jordan Johnston with 2 try assists and 50 tackles.
Yeah, Ash Hanley with that hat-trick goes to the top of the try charts. So, consistent, because he was a top scorer last year as well, just behind Makinson. So, good stuff from him. Jordan Johnston. Let's have a brief chat before we get into the fan views. Are Hull a better team to watch with Jordan Johnston in there than Danny Houghton? I kind of feel like the attack has a bit more variety.
Yes, they are. And they're probably not losing as much as they might have feared they would do defensively. Because they always feel, selecting Yermate always feels like a conservative selection, because the kind of work that he does. But if Johnston's tackling 50 times a game, then, he's doing something right. So they're definitely better going forward.
It's not the drop-off defensively that you saw when you bring Jez Litton in previous seasons, I suppose. It's kind of, yeah. But Joshua's granddad said, Shaw, Ratu, Buchanan, Jones, Swift, Houghton, Kelly, Taylor, Mater, Matthew, Mao, Lane and Ellis all missing, but Darrell's dummy means we stepped up to the mark and put in a shift. A good start spoilt by a weak bench, and soft points conceded either side of half-time proved too much to overcome. Think the final score flattered the Rhinos.
John Hamilton says, I'd prefer a stronger start, but happily seeing the resilience to come back after going behind and looking out of it early on. Walker's a fantastic player, but if convicted spousal abuser Robert Lewitt is fit, then it's an interesting dilemma at fullback. Team looks slicker with Myler, but Walker is such a talent. Sutcliffe solid again. Should be more than an injury backup player though. Harrell's handling is the secret to winning the cup and grand final.
And Tom Andrews says, Hull FC compared to superheroes for stepping up to this game. Sadly, it was less Superman and more Howard the Duck. Right. Some great fan reviews there. I'm really pleased with all of those. I'm going to pick out some things. Okay. John, Scott, not Hamilton. With all the best will in the world, you can't list Buchanan as a miss. You can't say that you've got 2 of your best 3 wingers out in Ratu and Swift, but then count Buchanan as a player on your injury list. He's a player that doesn't feature in your first 25 players, maybe even your first 30 players. Let's all the rest of the names, fair enough. But he makes a real. I agree with him that the scoreline did flatter the Rhinos a bit. I thought Hull played really well in the first half, and I do